Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Network 216 exclusive. It is Monday, June 19th, and we are debuting a brand new Brown series that we have on the channel. This is going to be called Simple Extension or Free Agency. Before we get into our first player, I'm joined by Jacob Roach. Mr. Jacob Roach, how are we doing today, man?
Dude, I'm doing great. The sun's down. I've got a cocktail. We're talking football. It's great. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. I played golf 2 days in a row. 18 holes yesterday. The course I was on today was only 12 because it's kind of a place that's close to my grandparents. So
Gotcha.
I'll admit I'm pretty tired right now, but you know what? You power through and you get her done. So before we get into today's episode and really get this series started here, guys, we appreciate it if you would drop a like on today's video. Really help that YouTube algorithm grow. But subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. We also do have a brand new membership option that is $2.99 a month, but we are going to be adding some pretty fun things here in the future, including a Discord that you'll be able to interact with people from Network 216, get betting slips, rumor updates, you name it. We're going to have it available to you, but watch for that announcement coming sometime this week. But we really appreciate everyone that tunes in. And Jacob, the first player that we are going to discuss is probably the one a lot of fans want to keep, but necessarily are wondering, can we keep him? That is Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, Donovan Peoples-Jones, it's kind of remarkable that he's still on the roster, and I say this because most sixth-round picks at this point don't make it this far in the NFL career with the same team. But Donovan Peoples-Jones has taken a step forward every single year. What do you like best about Donovan Peoples-Jones' game?
It's that when you hear people talk about him, they'll be like, yeah, he's not an elite separator. He has some long speed that's great. And it's like, it's never something that he's better than everybody else. They'll say, he can kind of do this. He can kind of do that. Yet he just gets it done. And you remember, like, people made jokes about Johnny Manziel with Mike Evans, where he would just say F it and just throw it up to Mike Evans. And I think Donovan Peoples-Jones has some of that in his game, where it's just like he can beat, if you underestimate his ability to get in and out of breaks, or you underestimate his long speed, he can burn you. And in those contested catch situations, it just goes and he gets the football. He's a reliable player that knows how to, he doesn't create a ton of separation, but he gets the job done. And if you're looking for a possession guy or a Hail Mary, which he may or may not have caught one of those bad boys, and he goes up and high points the ball. I just love the ability to catch in traffic and just get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look at Donovan Peoples-Jones, the one thing that it is encouraging if the Browns and Andrew Berry look to extend him, he has progressed every single year he's been in the NFL. 2020, 14 receptions, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. 21, 34 receptions, 597 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last year, 61 receptions, 839 yards, 3 touchdowns. So the touchdowns aren't exactly what you want to see, especially being 6'2", 205 pounds, but you're slowly seeing a progression with him every single year, and he's 24 years old. But the thing that fans have a hard time with, Jacob, and some of us are guilty of it too here at Network 216, but a lot of fans are very sentimental to the players that we have. And they don't really like to look ahead. And some of them will be like, well, he keeps projecting well, so why don't we give him the 10 million or more that he's looking for per year, or 15 million if he takes another step forward this year? Mm-hmm. So this is where this gets interesting, because Amari Cooper is due 20 million. Amari Cooper is also going to be approaching 30 here soon. Donovan Peoples-Jones has an opportunity to probably be one of the top wide receivers on the market. So how do you see this shaking out? Because a tough decision is going to have to be made here. And personally, I don't think it's one fans are going to necessarily be happy about.
Not after Cedric Tillman. Like, that's kind of what happened to me, where a lot of people said, well, they don't have anybody like Cedric Tillman. And I was kind of like, well, you forget about what DPJ can do. And I mean, I watched Cedric Tillman. I broke him down. There's a film room here on the channel if you guys want to go back and look at it, where I broke him down. And a lot of the things I just said about DPJ, I said about Cedric Tillman. And I think they drafted his replacement. And I know that sucks, but I was doing some research for an article I'll be dropping in the next couple of days. the Browns, as it sits right now, before rollover, before any restructures or anything, are $59 million over the cap in 2024. So you got to figure some things out, and they can't keep, and Jack Duffin talks about this, they can't keep adding $10+ million contracts.
Yep.
And I think that's what Peoples-Jones has earned. And I think we've seen this with Andrew Berry before, kind of drafting replacements in advance. And I think that's what they did with Cedric Tillman. I think if something happens where he just is so ridiculous this year, you could make it work and move on from Amari Cooper. Like you could kind of move some things around. But I just think his replacement's already on the roster. I think he'll want just too much money. And I'm just not sure I can justify it with the current cap situation.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I love Donovan Peoples-Jones. I do. And it's a great story, especially when you, like we mentioned, when you can keep a 6th-round pick on your roster this long, he becomes a starter for you. That's not common. I think the big thing with Donovan Peoples-Jones is how high are you willing to go before it's too much? I mean, if you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, I believe, got 11 or 12 million a year from the Patriots. You look at Jacoby Myers, got 11 million a year. And these are guys that, if you look at Donovan Peoples-Jones, that's the kind of money he's going to want. And you bring up Amari Cooper because that's another tough decision that at some point, I mean, maybe even as soon as after this year, the Browns are going to have to make a decision on with Amari Cooper. The big question with Donovan Peoples-Jones, can he take that step up to a wide receiver 1? And the projection is nice as far as keep slowly improving your stats. He just doesn't seem to be that type of player. Like, and he's nothing wrong with being a solid number 2 receiver. Mm-hmm. But if you also look at his PFF grades, which we know the Browns are highly invested in and really look at with players, Donovan Peoples-Jones is never, outside of his rookie year, never graded at a 70. And I really think that's something that's important to keep in mind here.
Yeah.
I guess the question becomes, what number are you comfortable at before it's too high for Donovan Peoples-Jones? For me, I think and it pains me to say this, I think the number I'm comfortable at, ideally, I'd love to keep him in the 6 to 9 million range, but the highest I'd probably want to go and be comfortable is 8.
Yeah, I think it's got to be in singles. I think it's got to be in the single-digit numbers, and that's got to come with an even better season. And I'm not sure he can even and it's couldn't even be his fault if he has a very same season as he had last year, because he's got all these other weapons he's now competing with. But I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said, can he step forward into that wide receiver 1? Can he take over from Amari Cooper? And you say, well, he's not ridiculous. He doesn't have elite speed. He doesn't have elite route running. He doesn't really drop his hips coming in and out of his breaks. And it's just like, I don't know what he does at an elite level that would make you think he could be a number 1. And that doesn't mean he can't go out there and do it and improve his route running and be reliable the way he has. When I look at a number 1, he's got to be elite in something. And I'm not sure that, because people say, well, contested catches, but contested catches are so arbitrary, and you don't even know how many you're going to get. You might get 10 all year, and you're like, okay, so on 10 plays, he's elite all year, something like that. And it's like, I don't see where he can get to that wide receiver 1. If it's 6 to 8, sign me the heck up. But if it starts getting in that double digits, I think that's where I think it will be. And that's where ultimately for me, I have to part with a guy that I've been standing for like 2 years. So
yeah, it's tough, man. Like at the end of the day, I mean, we would love to keep everybody here, but Jack Duffin mentions you can't keep giving these contracts out. And I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it ad nauseum on all our shows that we have, but also in YouTube videos. Like Wyatt Teller, good chance he's gone. What do they do with Nick Chubb moving forward? What do they do with Amari Cooper moving forward? Like, you're going to have some contracts you're going to have to make decisions on, because even if Deshaun Watson takes that next step, that money's obviously worth it for sure, but you have to restructure him every year. Myles Garrett, you'll have to restructure him, but also keep in mind, Myles Garrett will only, after this year, will be 2 years away from free agency. Then you have another decision like that, but then you have another contract coming up there. So there's a lot that still needs to be sorted out. So the bottom line, Jacob, does Donovan Peoples-Jones get extended by Andrew Berry? That is the question. And that's really what this series is about. Are the Browns going to extend Donovan Peoples-Jones?
No.
I agree.
I know.
Listen, I
yeah.
agree, dude. I agree with this because you you drafted Cedric Tillman. When we had our live draft show and we were like, wow, we drafted Cedric Tillman, it surprised us.
Yeah.
Because one, the age, and two, the type of player. It's not any outside DPJ, it's no one else the Browns have.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. As soon as I saw that, like you mentioned, I thought that meant Donovan Peoples-Jones is gone after this year because good front offices draft for the future. They don't draft to fill need. If you can fill need and future, great. But ideally, you draft to replace players in the future. That's what they did here. I love Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm thankful for his time in Cleveland. Such a fun guy, someone that embraces the city. You can't ask for anything more. A professional player. But you know what? I also want to see him go somewhere. I want to see him get paid because he's not going to be here. And I want to see him have a successful NFL career. He's never going to be that consistent 1,000-yard receiver every single year, but he's going to be a solid player for an NFL team.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. And I think we can enjoy him again this season. And I think he'll earn what he gets. And hopefully it's a Super Bowl and then he can go somewhere else. And it's just appreciate him. I wish there was a way to make it work, but with the outlook of the cap, it just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as we're wrapping things up, guys, we want to hear from you. Do you think the Browns are going to extend Donovan Peoples-Jones? It's going to be a huge topic this offseason because the Browns, they might have already offered him an extension for all we know, and DPA could have turned it down because it's not the money he wants. So we want to hear from you guys in the comments. So be sure to drop a comment below the video. Let us know. We read through your comments. We love interacting with you guys. So please let us know. Do you think the Browns should extend Donovan Peoples-Jones? And just to let you guys know with this series, we're going to bring up various members of the Browns, some high profile, some low profile. Will they extend them? Will they let them to go free agency? So it's going to be a lot to talk about this summer as we are still over 5 weeks away from the Browns beginning training camp. So we hope this series is really fun for you guys. As a reminder, be sure to drop a like on today's video. We really appreciate that, helping Network 216 grow our YouTube channel. But also, you want to make sure that you have your notifications turned on for any time any of our Cleveland Browns shows go live. Faithful Dogs podcast, Yard Dogs podcast, the Barking Brown show, the Dog Chug. You guys are going to make sure you don't miss any of those shows. So have those notifications on. We can't wait to talk to you guys all next week when we will go over the next player in our series, Browns safety, Grant Delpit. Can't wait to talk to you guys all again next week, and go Browns, baby.
Go Browns.